Hello everybody. Today's MS-111 online lecture series 2. We'll start this second lecture now. Well, so far before midterm exams we discussed some dilemmas of the managers facing the ethical problems, and also the first lecture we learned some things. Today we are going step by step in a practical scene, so maybe I think it's a little bit interesting for you. Okay, now, so managing ethics and legal compliance. This is the problems maybe after you started work in a practical business size. And this chapter 6, the ethics issues are discussed over whatever the size of the organization, small or large, or what levels in the organization you are working. Okay. So for example, the largest ones are Raytheon Technological Corporation, for example, the largest company, 220,000 employees, more than half outside the US, okay, and working 180 countries, almost global, almost all the countries. And also, for example, the other ones is a Merck, has 80,000 employees in 140 countries. Right? Lockheed Martin has 118,000 employees in 75 countries. Well, most of the big companies are like this. So therefore, how they are managing the ethical problems, it's a big issues. Well, in a division by division or their associated company by company, if they try to manage ethical problems, or country by country, and then it is very difficult to control. So therefore, they have a certain centralized, sometimes decentralized ethical management. So we'll discuss these things today. Right. First, structuring ethical managements. What's happened in the past? Until mid-1980s, US criminal law mostly focused individuals. Yes, criminal actions. Always like this. Individuals offended, and then they will be punished. So mostly individual cases. But nowadays, it's a more white collar crimes happens. Financial crimes and organizational crimes. So therefore, in 1987, Sentencing Commission put more emphasis on both individuals and organizations. And in 1991, even a corporate capital punishment was enacted, which means breakdown of the company. Governments will instruct the company to dissolve, okay, and the company will disappear. Examples is a Sunbeam, Waste Management, Enron, Global Crossing, Quest, and WorldCom. And the famous issues is also Arthur and Anderson's companies. All right. Now, so the US governments made some 7 requirements for due diligence and effective compliance programs. Okay, these requirements are from the US Sentencing Guidelines of 1991. This is not a law, it is a guidelines. You can read this one. This is extracts from the textbooks. Especially you have to take notes is number 5. Taking reasonable steps to achieve compliance with written standards through non-monitoring, auditing, and other systems designed to detect criminal conduct. Okay, including a reporting system free of retribution to employees who report criminal conduct, which means you are free of retributions by the organization even though you will report, which means whistleblowing. You will report some criminal incidents in the organization to outside the organization or within the organizations without bothering of any retaliation from the organizations. Okay, so you will be have to read very carefully these 7 requirements for due diligence and effective compliance program. Now, what kind of penalties if organization offends or criminal actions? Normally, the fine or penalties is 250 to 290 million or more. The biggest example is AT&T 2011 $1 billion fine, very big amounts. Okay, Intel's 1.25 billion fine 2010. Pfizer is a famous pharmaceutical company, 2.3 billion fine 2009. So how you have to be careful for this kind of things. Okay, and also banks, Bank of America, Wells and Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Ally, well, altogether $25 billion in 2012, over 40 foreclosures and mishandling customer requests for mortgage modifications. So you have to be very careful not to be involved in this kind of white collar crimes. Okay, it will affect your future career and you will lose any opportunities for future business chances. Now, managing the ethical comprehensive and managing the ethics is have to be comprehensive and holistic. Okay, not as local minor areas issues. Organizational is comprehensive and holistic treatments. That is different from the individual crimes and organizational crimes. And managing ethics, the corporate ethics office. Well, the origin of the corporate ethics office is started in the United States. Well, one day the Secretary of the US Secretary of the Navy, well, he realized a certain kind of the malpractices from the supply from the defense materials equipments. So in 1985, the Secretary of the Navy directed General Dynamics. General Dynamics is the second largest US defense contractor, to establish a code of ethics. Okay, and then General Dynamics, well, they asked the help from one of the famous non-profit consulting companies in Washington, D.C. The company developed the code of ethics with the help of non-profit consulting firm in Washington, D.C., the Ethics Resource Center, and it was very successful. So ever since that time, the other companies also followed this trends. So starting from mid-1985, most of the big companies in the United States, they established corporate ethics office. You have to probably have some questions. In the big companies, they have a company auditor, and also there are legal department. Why these companies does not work? Well, this is the big questions. Well, we will discuss this matter in a later part of this lecture. Okay. So anyway, they established, most of the big companies started to have the corporate ethics office since 1985. So ethics and compliance officers, of course, ethics and compliance offices, then there has to be officers who work at this office. Until the mid-1980s, the title Ethics and Compliance Officer did not exist in American business. Yes, no. Today, these high-level executives have their professional organizations now. One of them is the Ethics and Compliance Officer Association, called ECOR. If you are interested, you can see this website. Okay. This organization was founded in 1991. Now, as of 2009, after 20 years, the ECOR has more than 1,300 members, representing more than half of the Fortune 100 companies, and also international members from more than 30 countries. Well, this is the new professionals in the United States and any other countries also. Other organizations than this ECOR is to meet the demand of qualified and knowledgeable compliance and ethics professionals is the Society for Corporate Compliance and Ethics, called SCCE, Corporate Compliance and Ethics, a non-profit organization started in 2002 and now 3,000 members. I think this organization exists in Minneapolis, I think, somewhere in the Midwestern states in the United States. Okay, so now how these ethics officers, we should use the human resources within the organization or from the outsiders. Okay, an ethics compliance officer. Survey of 1995, 82% of the firms prefer the ethics officer should come from inside, because they know companies' activities, and so they have full information. That is better. Well, that is understandable. So therefore, the ethics officers have a various backgrounds. Some of them, they have a background engineering, staffs, corporate strategic and planning section, and HRM, and of course from the legal departments. Well, but one from the outside also has the advantage of the fresh eye to evaluate the situations. Someone from the outside has the fresh eyes, so therefore might be beneficial depending on the cases. But generally speaking, they preferred 82% of the firms, they preferred inside officers coming from inside. Okay. And what is the background of the ethics officer? The job of ethics officer is the newest profession in American business scene. Well, what is the background? Law was the most common background. Yes, of course, understandable. But there are also various backgrounds. Someone come from HRM, someone come from behavior scientist, someone come from planning sections. Okay, but some believe that, okay, this is important, lawyers are mostly hired to defend corporation. Legal department of the company is defending the corporations which was sued by the outsiders. So they are defending lawyers. Therefore, sometimes the corporate lawyers cannot handle ethical issues objectively. They are always standing on behalf of the interest of company. Okay. Ethical officers has to be fair enough. Okay, even in a criminal action behaviors of the company, they have to face it to protect the company as a whole to survive in the market. Okay. Now, what is the ethics infrastructure? Ethics offices can be centralized, which is directly central headquarters in the company, or decentralized, maybe located at each strategic business units or divisions or departmental basis, or some combination of both. So ethics infrastructure is still under progress now. Okay. Now, if we have decentralized ethics infrastructure, we have to be careful about this. It's so-called silo mentality. You know the silo mentalities? Well, the company have some divisions or decentralized organizations, all right, and then tends to establish their own empire, which is silo mentalities. Okay, sectionalism, factionalism. To avoid this silo mentality ethics, okay, silo mentality, ethics officer should have, even though he belongs to the division base or subsidiaries, associate companies, should have a direct reporting relationship to the CEO. Responding to the general counsel, which means the legal department normally, is not a good arrangement, according to the recent survey conducted by the compliance professionals. That is understandable. Well, legal department is to solve the issues. They don't like the incidents and the case. Okay. So therefore, you can't expect too much legal department. If the CEO is the ethics, but when happens, even the CEO himself had the ethics problems. Okay. In that case, then a reporting line to the audit committee of the board is essential. Okay, that is the second alternatives. So that is one of the problems to solve. Okay, well, thank you very much, and then we'll proceed number 3 and further in depth. Okay, today's lecture is finished. Thank you very much.